We need to go into this space to you. How can I support your campaign? When I talk about climate justice, when we say act now, when I hear that word act now, the Global South needs us to act now. I'm from Nigeria. I'm from the Delta part of Nigeria. This might be things that you don't see on the news, because it seems like when black bodies are facing crisis, for some reason no one sees our stories as important. When we see indigenous people facing crisis, we see that no one wants to talk about it. Do not get it wrong. We care about the ice cap. We care about the polar bears. But can we care about the black people, the indigenous people who are losing their life in the front line? In Nigeria right now, there are floods in the Delta region. We're having more climate refugees as we speak. Allyship for me is act when you see the inequality. I mean act. Act now. Use your platform, use your voice. It's easy to pick the camera and record, but you can actually create a change by actually seeing what you can do. Next thing you do is that you learn and unlearn your own unconscious bias. We all have it. We all have it. I have my own unconscious bias, and the media has also worked on our unconscious bias and put us against each other. The next thing you have to do after that is that you have to listen to the voices of those in the global South and give them a voice to speak about their own issues. Listen. Don't listen to respond. Actively listen. And this is the part that, if you don't do this part, it's going to fall apart. You need to yield your privilege. I know there are loads of people that are going to tell me I don't have privilege. I grew up in a council house. I get it. Cost of living is living, right? It's really causing a lot of turmoil. But while we're talking about cost of living, are we talking about how that's going to detrimentally affect marginalized and disadvantaged community? Do our food banks actually have food that actually reflect the diversity of the community? When I go to the food bank, can I get some yam instead of potato? Can I get some okra? Can I get some kidney beans instead of baked beans? Can we make sure that if we're going to donate, can we think about someone else's culture and think, who else might be missing from the conversation? Because let me say something. Food poverty, veggie poverty does not care about your color. It hits all of us. Cost of living is hitting all of us. So when I say decolonize, decolonize, I need energy, because the thing for you to be an ally, you need to really understand that part of you being an ally is decolonizing your mindset. So I need that energy from you to know that I am standing with some allies here. Decolonize. System change, not climate change. Decolonize. System change, not climate change. And to decolonize is us acknowledging our own history. Do not be ashamed of it. Own it. Stand in it. Know exactly the fact that Great Britain would not be great without the contribution of melanated queens and kings like me. Facts. Know that the banks were built on the backs of slavery, and be able to educate yourself. I do not need to educate you. You can educate yourself. It is not left to your ethnic minority friend to be the person and the fountain of the knowledge that you need. We would like to sometimes chill. We know in every party, once the drink starts flowing, once the conversation starts, you find the next minority in the room and say, you know what? I'm not racist, but my dog's cat friend is black. And on top of that, I went to Africa and I built a school. Well, bruh, What is your qualification to be going to Africa in the first place? Because it seems like when it comes to experts, it's okay when it's white, but when we move, we are called immigrants. And some people might see this as me coming as an angry black woman. I'm not even angry, I'm calm today. I'm calm because I know I've got some allies in this space. Have I got some allies in this space? Have I got some allies in this space? Because when we're talking about the environmental movement, we need to ask this question: why is environmentalism so white? And I take my glasses off for this because I want to see all of you and make sure you connect in this. We've been fighting the front line. We've been talking about our communities going under. We've been talking about the fact that Grenada is going under. The Caribbeans are seeing more tornado season. In Africa, people are getting displaced. In fact, those who contribute less than 3, we didn't even create this shit, but we're paying for this shit. So when you're talking about act now, when you're talking about climate change, we need system change. Are you only talking about it for certain kind of people? You don't need to like me after this conversation because I can't take your likes to the bank. Neither can he pay my gas or electricity. As you know, that shit is getting high. But one thing I also have to say is, can we make space for young people to actually just be? Because we fucked it up for them now. So we all need to be allies to children and young people right now and give up spaces and say, where are they at? We should stop asking young people to keep volunteering and not looking at, have you paid your bills? Because guess what? What are we doing to support this conversation around climate anxiety, mate? Because I don't know about you, I get anxious seeing my 2 beautiful children who did not choose to come into this world but have to be in this world. And if this summer didn't scare you, if that heat, you guys were there getting tanned, bruh, I was scared. Because even me, as a black woman, I was like, this is hot. This is hot. And then you see films like Don't Look Up, and then you think, that's me. Standing and telling the whole world that, guess what? If we don't fix up, because there's no plan B if we don't act now. But sometimes, because it comes out from my mouth and it doesn't look like the way you expect it to look like, it doesn't get no airtime. The funny thing is, we from the global south, we've been talking about the environment. It's part of our ancestry. We know that it's about Mother Earth and being able to appreciate what Oshun did for us. We know that we can speak to Ogun anytime, and literally I am decolonizing my spirituality. Because even though I can say I stand here, I have to know that I came from a place where we were, we are, we shall be extraordinary. It is simple because my melanin is like liquid diamond. When I see the curls of my hair, for every black girl, black boy, non-binary, trans, black person, when I say black lives, I mean all black lives. I don't get to choose which one. So before I even leave the space, let me bring Chris Carver into the conversation. Chris Carver was a 24-year-old man. Chris Carver was a 24-year-old man who left and went for a drive. You read everything you want to read in the media, but let me set the really clear. He was not chased. He did not resist. In fact, nobody even put the sirens on. Before they could speak to him, they took his life. Let me tell you about Black Joy. Black Joy cannot sit in a system that racism exists. We can't even come to protest because we're thinking, is our black body going to be used as and brutalized in the space? So when you see people of color in this space, you should be able to understand that it takes a lot. It takes a lot for us to be here. I'm proud of all your actions. I'm so proud of you guys taking space. And I love when you guys stay on the streets and you block stuff up. Sometimes I help you block shit up. But for some reason, I notice as soon as I step on the scene, orange is not the new black. Because actually, getting arrested means potentially never going home to my children. So while sometimes we do actions and we say, let's get mass arrest, that is the privilege you have. That's a privilege you have. It's a privilege that I can only dream about when I watch you guys and I'm clapping. I'm seeing stuff that you're doing and I'm like, bruh, that looks like a fantasy to me. Because I know if black bodies stood on the streets or climbed a building or poured paint, that means I will probably never be able to get a job. That means also every time I step into a space, I will be surveilled. Even starting the campaign called Kill the Bill. Can you remember that? There were black faces behind that. But we had to stay behind white faces because we wanted you to buy it. This is the stuff we have to do, code switch even in activism. Even the way I speak now, I tell you, not be like this now you talk. This Nigerian woman speaks like this. But I need to make sure I take the bass off my voice, sound a little softer, so I don't sound a little bit threatening. But that is tiring mentally, emotionally, and physically. I've had to take some time off activism just because I got tired of begging my nice white people to see me. 6 months, I had to stop. My biggest fear, and I know a lot of people are not gonna like this, is nice white people. Nice white people that are really nice, and I cannot be racist kind of people. I don't want to get involved in the conversation because I don't know if I can de-escalate it. I don't know whether I should check on the victim of racism in a bus or just sit quietly, nice people. When you see your planet burning, you stand up. But it seems like people care about trees more than they care about black and indigenous bodies that are being vilified on a daily basis. My black child matters. I matter. Chris Calvin matters. We would love to come to the protest with you guys all the time, but we can't even come sometimes because we're wondering, is it safe for me to turn up? So when you organize a rebellion, when you organize a movement moving forward, say, are we creating a safe space for everyone to take part? Remember what Kate said. We are not leaving anyone behind. Remember that it takes all of us as a collective. My struggle is your struggle. My win is your win. We do not compete. We collaborate. We co-produce. We stand in all honesty. And I'm a little bit spiritual, so I'm just going to do something I haven't done in a long, long time. I'm going to just bless this space and ground this space because I have to be able to pay tribute to my ancestors. I have to pay tribute to those who fought before me because I'm standing on the back of some strong, bad, amazing. Every voice that has gone before me has given me the voice to speak to you today. When we talk about the donuts economics, Bank of England, what you're saying, blood money still runs through a lot of businesses that we're working on. So when we talk about even those kind of things, how are we decolonizing the conversation to include those who do not know? Sometimes we're working 3 or 4 jobs so we can't do what you can do. But that being said, I want to thank the ancestors, I want to thank the universe, I want to thank Mother Earth for giving us when we still sometimes just give you pain. You give us the grace to be able to manifest and be in spaces to be able to create this change. But this change cannot be aligned without you aligning us to your will and purpose. When those evil eyes look at us, they're not going to be able to see us coming. We move in silence, but we still dominate in the spaces that we create. I speak to all those children, born and unborn. A letter to my daughter and son. You deserve to be able to breathe on this earth, so I ask for the universe, the angels, my guiding lights to come into space to make sure that we can create the change. It's not a conversation, it's just an action. We lead from that. Give us the strength to be able to move, because I know, damn, it's tiring. Being an activist is not easy, but all it is for you to act. With that being said, I say Ashe, Ashe, Amen. I ground myself, and I don't want you to feel any way about me doing that. Mother Earth needs us to sometimes say thank you. Thank you for giving us a space. Because when we look into the future, it looks a little bleak. But it doesn't look that bleak when I can see all of you here today. Because if you all are here together, if we all stand strong, if we all speak from a space of truth, and we do not do tokenized activism, it's not for the gram, it's not for the selfies, it's not for the CV. We do it because I need you to breathe, I need you to live, I need you to be your best authentic self. And that means you do not conform to the normative system from this Babylon people that we know. But all this I say anyway. My name is Marvina Newton. And when I say Black Lives Matter, you say Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Trans Lives Matter. GRT Lives Matter. Gypsy, Travelers and Romani communities lives matter. Big up to them. I want you to not forget them right now, because they're being targeted. And being an ally is me saying to the new age travelers who are being vilified on a regular basis, how are we creating spaces for them? So let's think about them. They get prosecuted for living off the land that is meant to be free. This is our land. I don't know what Liz Truss wants to say, but she's a waste woman anyway. That being said, all the things they are doing, we don't have any conversation with that. We stand in our truths. The governments can do what the government do, but we rebel every day. We take it with stride, we take it with smiles. And I just want you to know, you're loved, you're blessed, you're fucking amazing, man. Stand in your truths. Thank you very much.
I told you she's powerful. Thank you so much, Marvina. So now we're going to be joined by Ayisi Laios, who is yes, I got the name right. Who's a Greek educator and a climate justice and privacy activist. Who's going to be talking to us a lot about the same kind of things that Marvina's talking about, but from a different perspective. Can we welcome him?
So, from all the things that we have just heard from Marvina, my stomach, my belly is a bit upset. So I would just say to take a few seconds to let that, all the things that we've heard, sink in, okay? And also to prepare myself. My name is Agisilaos Koulouris. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Athens, Greece. Maybe you remember that Greece is a country somewhere in southeastern Europe. Maybe you've heard a lot about this place. About 10 years ago, a lot of things about debt, about austerity measures, about the Troika. So, as you can imagine, this story didn't go very well, because 10 years later, right now, Greece is the second most indebted country in the world compared to its GDP. I'm using GDP, which is really not an appropriate measure, index that we should be using. We should care about quality of life, about well-being, about equality, about freedom of the press, freedom of expression, holding our rights. But yeah, that's the way that this system is measuring prosperity. Maybe we should create our own indexes. So now that Greece is so indebted, what has happened is that everything has been privatized in the name of repaying this debt, like the most important infrastructure, like telecommunications, have been privatized and sold. The ports, the airports, the railway system, the energy. They're trying to privatize the public health system. They're also trying to privatize water. All these things have been privatized and sold in the name of repaying this debt. So we know that this system is corrupt, and this is a neo-colonialist way to keep the poor countries in chains. There is still slavery. There are slaves actually building our phones, constructing our phones right now. But there is also this new kind of slavery, which is called debt. So we should definitely talk about turning debt into climate action. This is where we should start from, because otherwise there's no way out of this spiral. I want to talk a bit about what's happening in Greece, because I feel like Greece is a gray zone. Nobody really gets it. It's not only Greece, there are many places like this, but nobody really knows what's happening, and it's in this middle ground. So I will share a personal experience. In COP26, I was there as an activist with XR and also trying to support the indigenous delegation, the indigenous peoples delegation. And I didn't know where I belong. I was feeling like, on the one hand, was the people from the global north with this historical responsibility for what's happening, with a lot of guilt also, which is a feeling that I think we should get rid of if we really want to do actions in solidarity. Guilt is blinding us. Guilt is also keeping us in chains inside of us, so we cannot really show solidarity in equal terms. But this is another discussion. So on the one hand, I had the people from the global north with their countries' industries still destroying this planet. But on the other hand, there were people from the global south that they're not talking about their future. They're not even talking about their present. They have been suffering already because of climate catastrophes and because of extractivist and exploitative industries going to their countries to help them repay their debts that the rich countries have created. So I was studying in between, and I didn't know where do I belong. I'm a European. I'm privileged. I can go anywhere I want with my passport, and that's a huge privilege. And